This is Alexxus Jackson.
And this is Mireya Sanchez, and today we'll be working on suggesting weather recommendations, RPA. So to begin, we're going to go ahead and, after we've opened UiPath, of course, we're going to go ahead and begin by clicking Process. And we're going to name this Getting Weather Recommendations. Yes, okay. I'm going to go ahead and click Create. Allow that to load. Okay, we're going to go to Project, select Main, or double click. I like to double click. And then we're going to go back to Activities, and we're going to go ahead and start off by adding in our flowchart. So, flowchart. And then I'm going to double click, get into my flowchart, and then I'm going to add in sequence. There we go. Then I'm going to drag it in, and it's going to suggest a connection. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and connect these. It should have suggested a connection, but that's okay because all you have to do is kind of guide that arrow to connect. So after we do sequence, I'm going to go ahead and click inside of sequence to insert my input dialog right here. I'm going to drag and drop like such.
So what I'm going to go ahead and do is ask my questions. So my first question is going to be, I'm going to put quotes, get weather of the city. My next question will be, please enter the city you are traveling to. And I accidentally did not put my quotes, so I'm just going to Control C this. And I'm going to quote this. Control V. And then I'm going to ask my next question. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. Input dialog. And I'm just going to continue that for my next questions. So going back, I actually don't need another question. I want to go ahead and create another sequence instead of the input dialog. So I'm going to go ahead and delete the input dialog that I just created. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag my sequence right here. I'm going to double click in here. And I want to drag my open browser into my job activity here. And this is where we're going to go to the web, and we're going to put our browser here.
Okay, so for this one, we're going to use Google, but before I do that, I do want to change my browser type to Chrome, just because it will facilitate the use of Google, in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and add double quotes. Usually if you add one quote, it will do both for you automatically. And then we're going to add in https:// 2 backslashes, and then the simple google.com, like such. Okay, so as of now, when the bot runs Google, it doesn't really know what to search for yet. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and include an element the element is going to be type into. That way the bot knows what to search in Google. So type into. And I'm going to go ahead and use this one. And I'm going to drop it inside the do. Okay, so I just want to go back and correct something really quick. This typed into will not tell it what to type, but tell it where to type. So for example, this link will lead you to the big Google Sheet, kind of I can demonstrate. This one actually, this one to the right, but you want to make sure that your bot knows to type whatever you want it to type into the search bar. So here we're going to guide it to type into the search bar.
What we want to go ahead and do is we want to indicate elements inside the browser. So As you can see here, we have a blank sheet, and I want to indicate it. 1 second. So as you can see here, I indicated that this is where I want it to start. So going back to my web browser, I went ahead and did HTTPS at google.com. And then this is how I got it to know that I wanted to have this be where I put my input and my data. So what I'm going to go ahead and first do is I want to have my variable be city from the previous question of asking what city people live in. So I'm going to do city plus, I'm going to do quotation marks around weather in Fahrenheit. So I'm going to go here plus weather in Fahrenheit. I want to go ahead and run this bot and see what we get. We want to see it open in Google and answer all our questions. Let's run into a few errors. So if Fahrenheit was misspelled, we're going to go ahead and run that again. We still have an error, so we're going to see where this is. So going back, I realized I did not put the 3 spaces, so we'll do 1, 2, 3. We're going to try to run this again. Okay, I'll be right back when I get it.
Okay, so we found that our error was actually the fact that we forgot to create the city variable earlier on in this project. So what we're going to do is go back to our input dialog, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this. I've already, kind of tested in the background to make sure that this was indeed my error. So what I'm going to do now is hit Control K, and what it's going to do is it's going to automatically create the variable in the variable tab. So I just have to type in what I want my variable to be named. And you'll see here how it creates it as a variable. So now, when I'm asking it to search the city variable plus the weather in Fahrenheit, it will actually know which variable it should be using. So I'm going to go ahead and run it just for demonstration purposes. And we'll see here that it is prompting me, please enter the city you're traveling to. So that means it's working. And I did want to show something, so I'm going to run that one more time and actually use it this time. So currently we're in Denton, so we're going to go ahead and search the weather for Denton. And I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to bring this screen in and look at how the bot just searches up Denton weather in Fahrenheit.
So next, what we're going to go ahead and do is type in send hotkey on our activities tab. Hotkey, and then we want to drag it right below. Okay. So what we want to go ahead and do now is we don't want to do Alt, Control, Shift, or Win. We want to do key, and we want to type in Enter. So when we go to the web browser, when we type in our data, this will automatically input it for us instead of doing what we did last time, indicating the element, and it kind of skips a step for us. And the next thing we want to do is we want to go to screen. I went to screen scraping, and then right under screen scraping is get full text we will need. So we want to drag this right under there to keep the sequence.
Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and once again pull text from the browser that we're working with. So I'm gonna go ahead and select indicate element inside browser. And 1 second, please. Oh, let me just. Okay, I have found my browser. We're gonna try that once again. So indicate element inside browser. And we see here the Denton weather in Fahrenheit. And this time we're gonna just select this right here. So right now it's raining and we see that. You might even hear the rain in the background because I like to hear the rain. But yeah, that is what we wanted with that element. So now we're gonna go into, let me scroll up here a little bit. I'm gonna select this header for the get text, and I'm gonna go to target, and I'm gonna expand that. I'm gonna go to selector, sorry, and I'm gonna double click there, or maybe with this little 3 dots ellipsis, and we want to make sure that our information is validated. We don't see anything that's saying like rain or the current weather conditions, so it should be good just by a visual check, but just to make sure, I'm going to go ahead and hit validate once again, and if it stays green, then that means it's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK there.
So we'll go ahead and go to my full text and then my text here. Control K. And I'm going to label it weather because the information that we pulled, it does not know what it is. So this will indicate it and make that clear. And the next thing we want to go ahead and do is, so we want to do the same thing again, but we want to do temperature. So we're going to go to full text right under here. Indicate element inside browser. We're going to go to temperature. And we're going to go back to our text, Control K, and we're going to label it as so. Temperature. Okay, spelled correctly. And always make sure to press enter for both of these. So I went ahead and just went back and pressed enter. It's important to note that we should change each of these to flowchart because we want this to be available all the way throughout. So, we're going to go ahead and hit the same for the other one. Okay, we'll just say.
So oftentimes you can find that your bot will probably move a little faster than the web browser itself, and it will probably have trouble identifying information if it hasn't loaded. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and let the bot know that it should probably wait for the information to completely load before it starts scraping data. So to do so, I'm going to go ahead and click on each one and wait for ready. I'm going to go ahead and change to complete so that it knows to wait wait until it's ready when it's complete, if that makes sense. So complete. And once we have, I'm just going to make sure that I've done that for both. And also before I move on, I also want to make sure that we've already done it for the first one. I want to do it for the second one, but I want to make sure that there are no incorrect tags in here, nothing that talks about weather or temperature in here. We just want to validate our information. So I'm gonna hit green and it stays green, so we're good to go and proceed. So to finish off our sequence, we're gonna go ahead and just tell the bot to close. That's not how you spell close. That is not how you spell close. Close tab. We're gonna tell the bot to simply close the tab after it has scraped the data that we wanted it to. That way we are kind of closing out that small sequence.
So I'm going to go ahead and add a message box for our bot. Message box. We want to say temperature, quotation marks, temperature, and space, plus city. Is city temperature, and we're going to try to run it right now. And ran. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is put in the city, and I'm gonna drag in my browser and demonstrate what the bot is performing. Do this, and I'm gonna drag this in. The temperature in Denton is 82 degrees. Okay.
Okay, so we're just gonna continue to add on to our message box, but we actually want the rest of our information to show up on another line. So in order to do so, we're gonna tell the bot that the following information should be on a new line. So to do that, I'm gonna go ahead and include a plus sign. And I'm gonna say environment dot new line. And this is just specifying to the bot, we want it on a separate line. And now what we want on a separate line is for it to say the weather is, oh, here we go. The weather is, maybe let's add a colon here. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add a plus sign. That's a comma. Let me change that to a period. Okay. And I will add in weather, which is from the information that we are searching. And we've already told the bot to search. So, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and run it again just to see how the bot reacts to the new additional information that we're asking it to display. So I'm gonna hit run. I'm gonna ignore that. Do you want to travel somewhere else, Alexxus?
I want to go to Tokyo.
Okay, let's go to Tokyo. I'm gonna pull in my browser so you can see the bot acting. So if you noticed, I actually typed in Toyo instead of Tokyo. So let's try that once again because spelling does matter. So we're gonna go ahead and run it. And Alexxus wanted to travel to Tokyo, not Toyo. Yes. Although Toyo is a place, it's actually in Indonesia. But we're gonna say Tokyo and click OK. I'm gonna pull in my web browser so you can see the bot do its thing. And now we have our message box returned. So temperature in Tokyo is 63 degrees Fahrenheit. We already know that because we created it. And the weather is rain. It's also raining in Tokyo. Interesting.
So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our flow chart. And in our flow chart, we want to go to flow chart. So just doing that one more time, I'm going to drag my flow chart to my sequence right here. And I want to double click here. And I also want to add my flow decision as my bot specific question, which will be added here on the triangle. As you can see, it's true or false, but I want to go ahead and change my question to, is it too cold? So I'll go back and change this to just too cold. And I want to go ahead and go to my activities. I want to do a sign I will be using in a second right here, and I'm going to connect it to my flow decision. And I want to go here to my flow decision, and I want to enter an expression telling me what is too cold. So I'm going to say temperature greater, temperature less than 65 is too cold. So that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my condition, and I want to make sure to change this into an integer. So anything that's a string will automatically change to int. One second. Sorry about that.
Okay, so we were having issues adding in the 2int afterwards because we're not sure. So we're just gonna leave it as is now and continue on. So for the next steps, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the assign. And I've already worked on that, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete that right there. We're gonna create a new variable. And this variable we're gonna call jacket suggestions. So what we're going to do with this variable is based off of the temperature that is going to be addressed. We want to see if somebody should wear a jacket or not. All right, and now we see our jacket suggestion variable there. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to type in jacket suggestion here, which is referring to our variable that we just made, and we're gonna add in our quote, what we wanted to say. So maybe something along the lines of, do you need a jacket? Perfect. Okay, so here we're saying if the temperature is cold, then you need a jacket. So now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to go ahead and add an assign to the opposite side, which is false. And we're going to say jacket suggestion. So if the weather is not below, if the jacket is not below 65, then you do not need a jacket. So if you're like me and you're always cold, you're probably gonna just want to grab something that's on the lighter side. So for this one, we're gonna say lighter sweater suggested. Okay.
I don't know. So we're gonna go ahead and go to the expression here. Sort of a lighter sweater suggested. Go ahead and enter that in. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and go all the way back to the beginning. So you see we're here at the flowchart. We're gonna go to the main. What we want to do is add a message box for our users. And this is what they're gonna see. So double click here. Actually, I'm gonna go back. I'm going to drag the message box under the flowchart. So here I'm going to type in my message. So go ahead and type out message. Here. space temperature plus VVCR plus weather is okay. Thank you. And then we're gonna do a space between this. Plus weather. And press OK. Actually, we'll go back and continue this right now in the editor.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna move this message box up so to have a little bit more visualization here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out this variable because it's not assigned yet, so it's kind of confusing the bot at this point. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and take these out as well because they don't correspond anywhere. So just delete these out by backspacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the to section, Control K, and set the variable to. Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to do it. I don't have to do all that. I can just do Control K here. And I'm going to add in jacket suggestion like that. And you'll see how it automatically enters it in as a variable here, but it's also assigning it. So now that's going to work. And I'm going to do the same thing here. All right, and I'm just going to make sure before I do that, that this new jacket suggestion is being assigned to the correct flowchart, which is the top one, which is as it is. And since you've already created that variable, then we can just go ahead and select that variable for the false statement as well. So control space, and we're looking for the jacket suggestion variable right there. Cool. Okay, so the only thing I've done is I've gone ahead and actually changed the flowchart to be the bottom one so that we have access to it when we leave the flowchart, go to main in the message box, since that's where we need it at the time. So now we see the jacket suggestion is showing up. So I'm gonna hand it off to Alexxus.
Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and finish that off by adding the jacket suggestion now that we have it. Jacket suggestion. And okay, we have everything in now. I'm gonna press OK. And I want to see if it runs. I'm gonna go press run. Okay, we ran into a few errors, but we're gonna go ahead and fix that. So going back to fix the bot, we went ahead and chose our variable type, and we chose UiPath.quartal generic value. And then we fixed our message box, and we're gonna go ahead and see if it'll run right now. So we're gonna choose Denton again. What we should see here is the weather suggestion and what kind of clothes we should wear in Denton. So we see Denton temperature is 65 degrees, the weather is cloudy, and it should tell us if we need a jacket or not. So we suggest a lighter sweater suggested. So this bot is very helpful, and you can do this for any city you choose. But this is the end of the RPA weather bot. Thank you.